The day I finished drafting the divorce papers, Jiang Zheng suddenly became an internet sensation, topping Weibo's trending list with his photos flooding my moments. But Jiang Zheng didn't even glance at the papers. He rolled up those few sheets of A4 paper and bopped me on the head with them. Jiang Yi, calling you dumb really isn't an insult. You actually are pretty clumsy. Probably because he'd been recording a show all night, Jiang Zheng's eyes had a slight redness to them. What? I was just worried that being a married man might hinder your journey in the entertainment industry. Big shot, I said, rubbing my sore head tenderly. I write songs, I'm not selling myself. Jiang Zheng tossed his coat onto the sofa, adding as he walked, besides, I have no problem with divorce. I'm just afraid that later on, someone might get exposed for being too timid. Jiang Zheng's words reminded me that getting a divorce now would be putting myself right in the eye of the storm. It really wasn't suitable. But me being with Jiang Zheng, that wasn't suitable either. A while back, Jiang Zheng's mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Her only wish was to see Jiang Zheng settle down and start a family. The Jiang and Zheng families used to live across from each other, and Jiang Zheng and I were desk mates in high school, so we were very familiar. The most ridiculous part was, due to our inherently clashing temperaments, we loved bickering about everything and often got caught arguing during evening self-study sessions. Even more ridiculous, our homeroom teacher reasonably suspected we were in a premature romance because of this, separated us, and notified both sets of parents. Part of the specific conversation went like this. Homeroom teacher: Jiang Zheng is a good kid, but starting a relationship is too early. Wait until you get to university and have a proper one then. Jiang Zheng's mother: I think Yi is great. I'm very satisfied. Homeroom teacher awkwardly pushed up his glasses, turned to my dad. Girls starting relationships too early can be disadvantageous. Yi's dad: please talk to her properly. My dad: good guys like Jiang Zheng will probably all be snatched up by the time they get to university. Better to start early. This part of the conversation, overheard by another student in the teacher's office, spread like wildfire through the class. Jiang Zheng, who had just come back from playing basketball, heard about it. His wet hair was plastered to his forehead, revealing his brows. He pulled his shirt up to wipe the sweat from his face, thin trickles of sweat sliding over his Adam's apple, leaving a ring of dampness on his collar. His tall figure blocked the light in front of my desk. The unique hormones of youth a powerful intrusion. I looked up to meet his ambiguous smile. I rolled my eyes and threw my scratch pad at his face. Don't worry, I'd marry anyone but you. Then, 5 months ago, during a rainstorm, Jiang Zheng appeared at my door, completely soaked. His eyes were red, his face covered in water, not sure if it was rain or tears. He gasped for breath and said to me, Hello, I'm the who. You said you'd never marry. Marry me. I stared at him blankly, at a complete loss. Suddenly, my wrist was grabbed tight, and he pulled me out the door. It's an emergency, I'll explain on the way. Before he finished speaking, he'd closed the door behind us. In the car, Jiang Zheng explained the whole situation from beginning to end. And just like that, we became a couple with an expiration date. Jiang Zheng's mom wasn't stupid. She made us get the marriage license the very next day. And my parents, who had always admired Jiang Zheng, didn't hesitate to stuff the family registry into his pocket. After Jiang Zheng's mother passed away, he became quite dispirited. Usually, he'd happily spend 24 hours a day in his studio. But during those 2 months, he didn't set foot in it once. Coincidentally, Jiang Zheng's university classmate, Wen Cheng, was directing a talent show and was short on funds and struggling to find mentors, so he contacted Jiang Zheng. Jiang Zheng felt he was just a songwriter and it wasn't necessary. But when Cheng was persistently shameless and I also gently urged him, staying home every day, he was practically starting to mold. Who knew that one piece of advice would end up tying up the rest of my life? Originally, I should have moved out of Jiang Zheng's house right after his mother's funeral, but he was so listless then. Afraid he might do something foolish, I had to stay and watch over him. Luckily, once he got busy, he reverted to his old workaholic self, and it was time for me to leave. Just as I was pulling my suitcase towards the door, my phone rang. It was Jiang Zheng. Jiang Yi, come pick me up from the TV station. But right now, You're the one who urged me to come. Aren't you responsible? His voice was hoarse and low, unlike his usual self. A sudden wave of unease washed over me. Okay, I'm on my way now. Send me the specific address. He was waiting for me in the hotel's underground parking lot, his black cap pulled down very low. The sharp outline of his jaw let me recognize him instantly. Jiang Zheng, I waved at him. He walked quickly towards me then, as if completely drained, leaned his entire body weight onto me. Even through my sweater, I could feel his scorching body temperature. You have a fever? I struggled to help him into the car and reached out to feel his forehead. I bent down to fasten his seatbelt. I turned my head and realized how close we were. I tried to lean back slightly, but he cupped the back of my head, his thin lips descending. There was no prolonged contact. When our lips were probably just a millimeter apart, he let go. The veins on his neck stood out from the sudden effort. I don't have a fever, so hurry home. He pushed me away and closed the car door. I opened my hand. My palm was slick with sweat. Not a fever? Then ... When we got home, I opened the car door. Jiang Zheng was flushed red from his collar up. After I helped him inside, he quickly shook me off and headed for the master bedroom's bathroom. Watching his unsteady body, I quickly followed. Before I knew it, he pulled me into his arms, and I bumped straight into his solid chest. It felt like fireworks were going off, their sounds faint and distant. He released me, the corners of his eyes red, his hands gripping my shoulders tightly, then relaxing. His heavy, ragged breaths landed on my heart, making it hard to breathe. Before I could react, the bathroom door was closed and locked. A commotion started inside, and I listened anxiously from outside. Then came the sound of water, running for a very, very long time. So long I couldn't help but knock. Jiang Zheng, are you okay? Jiang Zheng? His tall silhouette appeared on the frosted glass, startling me into taking 2 steps back. Jiang Zheng came out wrapped in a towel, his hair still dripping, his eyes still red, his face and lips drained of color. He avoided me, walked straight to the bed, closed his eyes, and fell heavily onto it. Jiang Zheng, your hair is still wet. You'll get headaches when you're old if you don't dry it. I hurried over and tried to pull him up. I sighed. Get up. I'll help you dry it. Jiang Zheng turned his head to look at me. The hairdryer is in the bathroom. I know. I took a clean set of pajamas from the wardrobe and tossed them to him. Put these on quickly, before you catch a cold. Jiang Zheng raised an eyebrow slightly. Still need underwear. I had just turned around when my foot slipped, and I nearly fell. Grinding my teeth, I went back to rummage through the wardrobe. Don't bother arguing with a man who's been drugged. Endure some more. I blindly grabbed something from inside and threw it towards Jiang Zheng's face. He raised his hand and caught it in one fluid, effortless motion. But just as our eyes met, he collapsed weakly back onto the bed. Water droplets from his wet hair slid down, wetting the skin around his eyes. From a distance, his eyes looked moist and dough-like, appearing innocent. I twitched the corner of my mouth. It really was a shame this guy didn't become an actor. Call me when you're done changing. I withdrew my gaze, a bit exasperated. I waited for Jiang Zheng outside the door, but then I heard a muffled thump from inside. I quickly pushed the door open and found Jiang Zheng sitting on the floor, half naked. Are you okay? Don't take the opportunity to cop a feel, he said, lifting his tired eyelids lazily, his gaze settling on me for a moment before slowly shifting to my hand. Somehow, my hand ended up on his sharply defined abdominal muscles. My hand felt like it had been roasted by his scorching body temperature, gradually heating up. I sheepishly withdrew my hand. Jiang Zheng just closed his eyes, wearing an expression of utter lifelessness. My fingers ran through his soft hair as the hot air blew. Drying hair is such a boring task that my gaze started wandering aimlessly, gradually moving from the top of his head to Jiang Zheng's face. I had to admit, when Jiang Zheng kept his mouth shut, he was truly a rare handsome man. Jiang Yi, are you trying to get revenge using your official position? Jiang Zheng's voice was even fainter against the background noise of the dryer. I only then realized I'd been so busy staring at Jiang Zheng that I'd forgotten to move the hairdryer. The back of my hand and that section of his hair was scorching hot. I'd even made Jiang Zheng's ears turn red from the heat. Jiang Zheng had a high fever all night, lying in bed in a daze. I took care of him all night. Cooking porridge, feeding him porridge, buying medicine, giving him medicine. The packed luggage waited by the door all night too. Just before dawn, Jiang Zheng's temperature finally returned to normal. I took my hand away from his forehead and let out a long sigh. I stretched and got ready to cook some more porridge for his breakfast. The doorbell rang just as I put the rice in the pot. It was Wen Cheng. As soon as I opened the door, Wen Cheng thrust a bunch of gifts towards me. Sister-in-law ... is Bro Zheng okay? I coldly started to close the door. This isn't my fault. I really didn't know Liu Lingling put something in the drink. If I had known, I would never have given that drink to Bro Zheng no matter what. Wen Cheng was strong, and I couldn't hold him back. As soon as he entered, he saw the luggage. With a plop, he knelt right in front of me. Sister-in-law, this really isn't Bro Zheng's fault. It's all me ... I swear. During the recordings, he never even glanced at another woman. When he wasn't recording, he was either sleeping in his sunglasses or hiding in the dressing room writing songs. I was amused by Wen Cheng. I didn't realize Jiang Zheng was so disciplined ... Honey, look. He's the one who almost made me lose my virtue yesterday. I already made him kneel for 2 hours. Before I could even laugh, Jiang Zheng's voice drifted over from behind me. I looked at Wen Cheng's devastated expression and rubbed my forehead in exasperation. I had to admit, Jiang Zheng really did have talent as an actor. Who was it that kept me up all night? I blurted out, unable to help myself. Wen Cheng's expression instantly relaxed, seamlessly switching to gossip mode. Looks like Bro Zheng didn't lose his virtue after all. Hard work, sister-in-law. With those dark circles, you must have been fighting all night. Get some good rest. I won't bother you anymore. This time, my mouth really had gotten me into trouble. I nudged Jiang Zheng behind me with my elbow. He unhurriedly called out to Wen Cheng. Wait. Just as a flicker of hope rose in me, he continued. Keep kneeling. You can't leave until 2 hours are up. I watched the slight curl at the corner of Jiang Zheng's mouth, but his tone was pitiful. Honey, you go rest. I'll watch him. The porridge is almost done too. Stop acting. I gritted my teeth and whispered to Jiang Zheng. A pair of large hands landed on my shoulders, the warmth of his palms seeping through the fabric of my clothes. After a whole night of rushing around, my shoulders were sore and tired. Jiang Zheng's sudden massage startled a yelp out of me, but I had to admit, his technique was really good, with just the right amount of pressure. Honey worked hard all night. Jiang Zheng bent down, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Seeing this, Wen Cheng immediately stood up. I know better than to be a third wheel. I'm leaving now, right now. I opened it to find a photo of my ex-boyfriend Cheng Tingyin. It was a promotional poster for some big international brand. Jojo also sent a voice message. I opened it, but before I could adjust the volume, it was too late. Yi. I just found out today that Cheng Tingyin is a huge star now. Oh my god, you can say you used to date a top-tier celebrity from now on. Jojo's shocked voice echoed through the living room. I clutched my phone, looking up awkwardly to meet Jiang Zheng's dark, gloomy stare. The warmth left my shoulder as a hand reached from behind me and took my phone. Sister-in-law, you dated Cheng Tingyin? Wen Cheng, who had already reached the door, turned back to eavesdrop. He's famously known in the industry as a kept man. That Liu Lingling? She's his agent. My phone felt like it was about to be crushed in Jiang Zheng's hand, and Wen Cheng just had to add fuel to the fire. Wen Cheng looked at me, then glanced at Jiang Zheng, and added, Bro Zheng ... Didn't know, right? I shot Wen Cheng a harsh look, and he immediately shut up. The next moment I was lifted off the ground, and I clung tightly to Jiang Zheng in shock. What are you doing? I realized Jiang Zheng had scooped me up in his arms, handling some family matters. You can see yourself out, Jiang Zheng replied, ignoring my question, and carried me towards the bedroom. With the sound of the door closing, I landed on the bed, my back sinking into the soft mattress. Jiang Zheng stood by the bed, looking down at me. You really dated him? I was stunned by Jiang Zheng's sudden outburst of temper, and answered weakly, Yeah, for 3 days. Hey, wait a minute, Jiang Zheng. You really think you're my husband or what? I grabbed a pillow beside me and threw it at him. He didn't dodge. and his stern expression finally cracked into a smile. Damn, Jiang Zheng. You should just switch to being an actor. I'm just afraid you'll make a mistake and cause uncle and auntie to worry. But he bent down to look me in the eye. You're not a rich woman, so Cheng Tingen should be the one losing out. Get lost. I was furious with him. I should have let you lose your virtue yesterday, and not bothered with you, even if you had a 104-degree fever. I was so angry. I was starting to ramble nonsense. The culprit, Jiang Zheng, just stood there with his arms crossed, watching me like I was a show. No, I paused. What I did was right anyway. Consider it paying for a male escort with some manual labor. I deliberately emphasized the last two words. Jiang Zheng's smile gradually froze. Zhang Yi. He called my name expressionlessly. I dashed off the bed and ran out, shouting as I ran. Don't worry, male escort. I know you guys in this business tend to be weak. I'll go get you some porridge to build up your strength. Ah. Jiang Zheng, go easy, my shoulder is about to. Jiang Zheng, I was wrong. Producer Jiang. Handsome Zheng. Top celeb. Zheng. Woo woo. After graduating, I started an image design studio with my college classmate, Liang Bao. In the past 2 years, our work has gradually gotten on track, and even some B-list and C-list celebrities have started coming to our studio. 2 months ago, the studio landed a big contract, designing the image for the contestants on Wen Cheng's talent show. Liang Bao knew about my 3-day relationship with Cheng Tingyan. To avoid any awkwardness, he arranged for himself and the 2 assistants to handle that work. But today, unfortunately, one of the assistants had a family emergency and asked for leave. And my recent near-miss experience with Jiang Zheng had left me somewhat wary, so I simply told Liang Bao I'd fill in for the assistant today. When Liang Bao found out, his jaw dropped. He even reached out to feel my forehead. Zhang Yi, are you okay? Back in university, you'd turn and walk the other way if you even saw Cheng Tingyan from a distance. What's up today? I slapped his hand away. It's been so many years. If anything, he should be the one avoiding me. Besides, without me, would you be able to handle today's workload? Liang Bao rolled his eyes at me. You should have said something earlier. I've been worried about you for nothing. I've been running myself ragged at the TV station every week. Well, here I am now. Since eliminations hadn't started yet, there were still quite a few contestants. We had to start working as soon as we arrived. Sis, can I add you on WeChat? I'd like to ask for you specifically for my styling in the future. I turned my head and saw a male contestant standing beside me. Just add me. She's newly married and doesn't have time for studio stuff. Liang Bao stepped between me and the contestant, flashing his own WeChat QR code. Sis Yi, you're married? Since when? Little Chen, the other assistant, looked at me in surprise. My smile froze at the corners of my mouth. I glanced sideways at Liang Bao, my look full of murderous intent. Now the whole studio would know. Liang Bao ignored my glare, turning to gossip with Little Chen. Well, she just didn't want us to know. If I hadn't accidentally glimpsed her individual income tax special additional deduction information form the other day, I wouldn't have known her spouse section wasn't empty either. Bro, stop. If he kept talking, the truth might come out. Liang Bao patted my shoulder, pretending to console me. What's there to be ashamed of, just sharing a name with producer Jiang Zheng? There are plenty of people in China with the same name. At Liang Bao's words, the entire makeup room crowded around us. Sis Yi, your husband must get compared to Jiang Zheng all the time, right? Same name, but such a huge gap. Yeah, if it were me, I'd be too embarrassed to tell people my husband's name is Jiang Zheng. I laughed awkwardly a few times to hide my inner panic. Yeah, my husband's just, average. Doesn't have Jiang Zheng's stunning good looks. Isn't as calm and steady as him either. He's got such a sharp tongue all day. I sometimes want to make him dumb. Since I saw Jiang Zheng in person, that urge has only gotten stronger. Before I even finished my sentence, the makeup room erupted in laughter. Even Liang Bao sincerely sighed. Suddenly my boyfriend's name doesn't seem so bad. The contestants' outfits and makeup were all finalized, and I finally had a moment of free time before the recording started. Before I could react, I was pulled into a room. The door slammed shut, and I found myself in someone's embrace. I looked up. It was Jiang Zheng, wearing black sunglasses. His lips pressed together in an unreadable expression. I looked down. The foundation from my face had rubbed off onto his white shirt. Was this new setting spray really this useless? Jiang Zheng, do you have any idea how many brain cells you just scared to death? Since he'd startled me first, I felt justified in speaking up first. He tapped my forehead. Not like you had many to begin with. And who's been bad-mouthing me all over the place? Saying I'm just a sharp-tongued jerk all day, huh? His tall figure blocked the overhead light, making him quite intimidating. What else was I supposed to say? I pushed him away. It's a fake marriage anyway. The fewer people who know, the better. Of course, I needed an excuse. Recording's about to start. You'd better deal with your shirt first. I pointed at the stain. Jiang Zheng took off his sunglasses, glanced at it, and lazily lifted his eyes. This was the only set I brought today. I sighed in resignation. This guy did it on purpose. It wasn't impossible to ask the program team for a new shirt. But if anyone found out where the makeup stain came from, take the shirt off. I can try to clean it with makeup remover and dry it. We should make it in time. Jiang Zheng just stood there, hands in his pockets, not moving. I pursed my lips and reached out to unbutton his shirt for him. I had just gotten his shirt off when the door suddenly swung open. My heart clenched and I quickly covered my head with the shirt. Bro Zheng, we're ready over here. Recognizing Wen Cheng's voice, I took the shirt away from my face and we just stared at each other. Wen Cheng choked on the rest of his sentence, his expression shifting strangely. I finally understood. Casually I said, plenty of time. He only takes about 5 minutes anyway. Wen Cheng's jaw dropped. He patted Jiang Zheng's shoulder meaningfully. Bro, a man can't admit defeat. The rest of his words, along with him, were cut off as the door closed. I was already laughing on the sofa. Admit defeat? Sounds unsuitable for work filtered through the wall from next door. I suddenly realized that seemed to be Cheng Tinyan's dressing room. Jiang Zheng had already put on his earphones and mouthed enjoy at me. I curled my toes in embarrassment, while Jiang Zheng beside me acted like it was nothing, and repeatedly refused my pleas to borrow one of his earphones. Whether I said, I was wrong, next time I'll tell Wen Cheng you lasted 2 hours. Or bro, you're way better than the guy next door. He remained completely unmoved. Finally, with 5 minutes left until recording, Jiang Zheng's shirt was ready. Eager to escape, my hand had just touched the doorknob when Jiang Zheng called out, a light laugh in my ear. Jiang Yi, next time, remember to put concealer on your ears too. With that, he opened the door and stepped out first. I looked at myself in the mirror. The tips of my ears were bright red. Jiang Zheng is so handsome. Why does he always have to hide his face behind those big framed sunglasses? In 2 hours, I barely saw a few complete shots of his face. What's there to say? My husband is so virtuous. Of course, that handsome face is only for me to admire at home. PFFT, whose husband was Cheng Tinyan just last month? You remarried that fast? Of course. Jiang Zheng is my new husband now. 2 young girls were swiping on their phones and giggling when a middle-aged woman nearby shattered their delusional daydreams. Hey, you little girls, why do you go around calling random people husband? The 2 girls looked baffled. One of them disdainfully looked the woman up and down. Auntie, who are you? What's it to you if Jiang Zheng is my new husband? Jiang Zheng is my son-in-law. As soon as she said it, the 2 girls burst out laughing. Crazy lady. And this middle-aged woman was my mother, Miss Zhao Xinlan. My mom was about to educate them further when I rushed over and pulled her away. Mom, what are you doing? My mom glared at me and shoved everything in her hands at me. Look how many girls are obsessed with Jiang Zheng now. You don't even seem worried. Forgetting your own husband's birthday, you'll only regret it when he's taken away. She even poked my temple. I lifelessly carried the 2 big bags of groceries. Worst case, we just get a divorce. Mentioning that was a mistake. It just set her off. Lucky I hadn't told her Jiang Zheng and I were in a fake marriage, or my ears would never get any peace. When we got home, my dad was already wearing an apron, simmering soup, with Jiang Zheng helping out on the side. My mom instantly switched from strict tiger mom to kind and affectionate mother-in-law. Zheng is such a good boy. Yi has hardly ever helped with housework since she was little. I silently put down the groceries and headed for my room, but unexpectedly, my mom started tattling to Jiang Zheng. Zheng, tell me, was I wrong just now? A married man like you getting called husband by young girls every day is just not right. A glint of amusement flickered in Jiang Zheng's eyes. Then he sighed with feigned sadness. Mum, she. My mom instantly became tense. What's wrong? Is she not treating you well? Jiang Zheng glanced at me, the corners of his mouth tightening. No. His tone carried hidden meaning. Don't be afraid, Zheng. Speak up, Mum will get justice for you. The look in my mom's eyes made my heart skip a beat. I looked closely at Jiang Zheng and finally understood. I was in big trouble. Yi doesn't really like others knowing we're married. Even if they find out, she just says it's someone with the same name, not me. She thinks our relationship might cause problems for work, so she told me to pretend I don't know her at the TV station. Jiang Zheng pressed his lips together, as if holding back strong emotions. I was speechless, unable to defend myself. I did not. Mum, I'm your real daughter. You're both my children now. Zheng is my son. Dad, look at Mom, she's gone crazy. After dinner, my parents walked us downstairs. Jiang Zheng whispered something else to my mum, and she actually consoled him earnestly. Zheng, don't rush about having kids. My mom glanced at my clueless face. This girl Yi, she loves eating cold food all year round, and her uterine coldness has never gotten better. Keep an eye on her, okay? Jiang Zheng's eyes were full of victorious amusement. He put his arm around my shoulder and nodded with a smile. Don't worry, Mom. I'll take good care of Yi. I had to admit, Jiang Zheng acted so convincingly that for a few seconds, in a daze, I almost believed we were really married. But when Jiang Zheng's car stopped in front of my new place, I woke up completely. This was all fake. Recently, work at the studio has been so hectic I've been completely disoriented. I even forgot about that time of the month. I woke up in the middle of the night from the pain, and hardly slept afterwards. When I looked in the mirror, I thought I'd turned into a panda. I bought an iced Americano at a cafe outside the neighborhood, and rushed to the studio. It was another recording day. I endured the dull ache in my lower abdomen while searching for suitable outfits for the contestants. A thin layer of cold sweat broke out on my back, and my head felt fuzzy and ached dully. I turned around, ready to get another pick-me-up, only to find my iced Americano, still half full, had vanished from the table. Who steals a half-drunk iced Americano these days? Producer Jiang is so great. I've listened to songs he produced before, but I never thought he'd actually give me a beat he made himself to use, and even come over to discuss revisions. A male contestant spoke quietly, his voice barely containing his excitement. Exactly. Not only is he handsome, he's talented and has a great personality. At first, I thought he was just some nobody trying to ride on the show's popularity. I only found out later that he produced many of the songs that topped the charts. A female contestant nodded in agreement. Following the sound of their voices, I turned my head. Jiang Zheng had appeared in the makeup room sometime without me noticing. He was now walking towards the door with a laptop, and in his other hand was my half-finished iced Americano. I reached into my pocket to get my phone and confront him, but instead, I pulled out a packet of warm compressors, a painkiller, and a tiny note the size of my thumb. It read, "Remember to take medicine." Jiang Zheng's handwriting was just like in high school, sharp and unrestrained. I folded the note and put it away, the corners of my mouth lifting involuntarily. The warm compress felt like it was stuck to my heart, warming it until it started to feel hot. Another bout of busyness. Suddenly, a voice came from outside the door. Is Jiang Zheng's wife here? Your hot coffee has arrived. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked towards the door. The concentrated stares made the delivery guy a bit uneasy. He glanced at his phone. Jiang Zheng's wife. Who's Jiang Zheng's wife? The hot coffee you ordered is here. Everyone wore expressions of eager gossip, waiting for the coffee's owner to appear. I was no exception. Who would order takeout with the note? Jiang Zheng's wife, on a show where Jiang Zheng was a mentor. Truly fearless in the face of social death. The delivery guy was getting impatient. He looked at his phone again. The last 4 digits are 3,523. I've called several times, no one answered. It suddenly hit me. My phone number also ended in 3523. Could it be? I quickly pulled out my phone. I'd accidentally put it on silent. And sure enough, there was a bunch of missed calls. No need to ask. This was definitely Jiang Zheng's doing again. I tried to act like it had nothing to do with me, maintaining a facade of calm as I slowly started to edge away. But then Liang Bao, right next to me, suddenly spoke up. Yi, aren't 3523 your last 4 digits? I froze on the spot. Complete social death. All eyes turned to me in unison. Then the makeup room exploded with laughter. I forced a painful smile. My husband just likes to joke around. Sis Yi, your husband is so thoughtful. Sis Yi, you think your husband might be jealous? Using coffee delivery to stake his claim. You and your husband are so funny. Amidst the teasing, I accepted the cup of hot coffee. Any remaining gratitude in my heart vanished, replaced only by the urge to throw the hot coffee in Jiang Zheng's face. Jiang Zheng, I really want to thank you for letting me experience social death. I slammed the coffee down on his table heavily. Jiang Zheng slowly took off his sunglasses and looked up at me. Eyebrows slightly raised, expression innocent. Playing the pitiful card won't work on me. Do you have any idea how socially dead I felt when that delivery guy announced in front of the whole makeup room? So you're Jiang Zheng's wife? A faint smile played at the corners of Jiang Zheng's mouth, slowly spreading through his whole body until he collapsed onto the sofa, shaking with laughter. Still laughing, I grabbed a nearby cushion and threw it at him. Jiang Zheng caught the cushion and put it behind him. You could have asked him to leave it at the door. It was working hours. My phone was on silent. Besides, how was I supposed to know you'd ordered me hot coffee? I was furious. And here I was, being kind enough to buy you a belated birthday present. Now I'll just donate the clothes to the homeless. Hey, wait. Jiang Zheng quickly got up from the sofa and grabbed my arm. Are you really mad? I shook off his hand and headed for the door. How about this? You order something for me, put Jiang Yi's husband on the note, and I'll have the delivery guy shout it in the studio for half an hour before I pick it up. He caught my hand and pressed his phone into my palm. I was so angry I laughed, pushing the phone back into his chest. Still trying to take advantage of me. You got addicted to this fake marriage, Jiang Zheng. With that, I turned and walked quickly out of the dressing room without looking back. As soon as I pushed the door open, I ran into Cheng Tingyan, who was just about to head back to his own. Yi? Cheng Tingyan's greeting completely dashed my hopes of pretending not to know him and sneaking past. Before I could even think of a response, he continued. What were you doing coming out of Jiang Zheng's dressing room? My polite, fake smile froze on my face. My throat felt blocked. I couldn't utter a single word. Suddenly, a hand with clearly defined fingers reached out from behind me. All signed. Cheng Tingyan was stunned for a moment, his expression turning a bit sour. So Yi, you're a fan too? I glanced at the paper in Jiang Zheng's hand. It wasn't a signature at all. It read, "You're welcome." Yeah. Because my husband shares the same name as Teacher Jiang, I specially came to ask for an autograph. You were just next door, senior. I nodded at him, my tone carrying a faint hint of distance. Jiang Zheng behind me suddenly chimed in again. Weren't you also going to take a photo? Oh. Right, I said, pulling out my phone. Cheng Tingyan withdrew his gaze, his jaw tight, as if trying hard to adjust his expression. Won't disturb you too then. My eyes followed Cheng Tingyan until his figure completely disappeared through the door. Only then did my tense heart relax. Just as I turned around, Jiang Zheng took my phone. What are you doing? I asked, confused. Deleting the photo, of course. What if you use it to mess with me later? Jiang Zheng swiped on my screen, glanced at his own phone, and in a moment, handed mine back to me. Damn. Who's as boring as you? I rolled my eyes, elbowed him backwards, and hurried away with my phone, returning kindness with enmity. Jiang Zheng's lament followed me as the door closed behind him. It only dawned on me then that my finger hadn't even been on the camera button. The day Jiang Zheng's birthday gift arrived, the cleaning lady happened to be coming. Jiang Zheng, needing to produce beats for the contestants to choose from, had gone to the studio early in the morning and texted me to let the cleaner in. Waiting alone at home for the cleaner to finish was a bit boring. I couldn't resist opening the video streaming app, thinking I might screenshot a few meme stickers of Jiang Zheng to prank him. But as soon as I opened the talent show, I saw that the cover for the latest extended membership version was a photo of Jiang Zheng lifting his shirt to wipe sweat, revealing a glimpse of his abs. The title was, "Power Outage During Recording, Mentors and Contestants Sweat It Out on Standby." I started laughing hysterically at the cover. Was the production team so desperate they were making Jiang Zheng sell his body? He'd be livid when he found out. I had to admit, it was incredibly tempting. I clicked on that episode and pressed the button to buy a membership. In my eagerness, I accidentally used Jiang Zheng's supplementary card. This supplementary card was given to me by Jiang Zheng's mother on the day we got our marriage license. She insisted on seeing me link it to my online banking before she'd let it go. The day Jiang Zheng's mother passed away, I returned the card to him, but I forgot to unlink it from my accounts. I usually pay for things with my own card, so I never noticed. I don't know why Jiang Zheng's supplementary card popped up today. I quickly unlinked his card and transferred the membership fee to him via WeChat. Sorry, forgot to unlink it earlier. Just did it now. Returning the membership fee. Maybe he was busy, because Jiang Zheng didn't reply. I then started enjoying that member extended version episode. Because of the power outage and the poorly ventilated practice room, Jiang Zheng and the contestants initially wore jackets. But unable to bear the gradually heating environment, they started taking off their outer layers, leaving just t-shirts. Soon, Jiang Zheng was drenched in sweat. Beads of sweat dripped from his forehead to the tip of his nose. He had to lift the hem of his shirt to wipe his forehead. And right at that moment, the thoughtful production team even zoomed in, letting me clearly see trickles of sweat sliding down the lines of his muscles, disappearing into his waistband. Just like in high school during basketball games, he made the girls scream, a living, breathing hormone machine. Jiang Zheng seemed to have become the energetic Jiang Zheng of old again. Maybe because I used to see him every day. But today, looking closely through the screen, I had to admit Jiang Zheng was indeed very handsome. I got so into it I watched the whole extended episode, not even noticing Jiang Zheng had come back. Watching so intently. Is it that good? Jiang Zheng leaned in, his soft hair gently brushing the back of my hand, sending a tingle. Startled, I quickly locked the screen. What are you doing? Just watching a show. So mysterious. Jiang Zheng glanced at me dismissively. Besides, why pay to watch it when we have it at home? Jiang Zheng stood up and took off his jacket. I was so shocked I nearly dropped my phone. How did he know I'd bought a membership specifically to see his abbeys? And what did he mean? Have it at home? And he was taking off his clothes. Was he going to... What? I asked weakly, wrapping my arms around myself. Jiang Zheng, now in a thin long sleeve, picked up the remote and turned on the TV. The TV at home has a membership. You can just watch it here. Oh, so that's what he meant. I put my hand over my heart. It was thumping wildly against my chest. Jiang Zheng turned and handed me the remote, then frowned slightly. Didn't you open the windows for air? Huh? I was confused again. Jiang Zheng shook his head helplessly, walking to open a window. Look at your face. You've stewed yourself in here. I quickly touched my face. It was burning hot. I checked the time. It was getting late. I should go. I pointed to the clothes in the bag. Birthday present. Hope they fit. Jiang Zheng glanced at it, the corners of his eyes crinkling slightly. What about interest? I rolled my eyes. No. Cook me a meal. It's getting late anyway. Eat before you go. There was a hint more seriousness in Jiang Zheng's eyes. My heart skipped a beat. My eyelashes fluttered. If I hadn't kept an eye on him, his stomach would probably be ruined by now. Work had been busy lately. No doubt he'd been living on takeout. The fridge is empty. Eat the northwest wind. My last words trailed off in surprise as I opened the fridge to find it completely stuffed. I couldn't help poking my head out to look at Jiang Zheng. He raised an eyebrow slightly, triumph in his eyes. The fridge used to just have a few bottles of ice water. I muttered quietly, picking out some ingredients to cook. Of course, I wasn't going to let Jiang Zheng just sit around. I asked him to mix the sauce for the sweet and sour ribs while I prepped the ribs. Why did you suddenly start watching that show? Which episode are you up to? Jiang Zheng's back was to me as he chose the seasonings. Water splashed on my face. I shook off the drops. Just watching. Of course, from the beginning. First episode. Silence fell from his direction. The only sounds in the kitchen were the water running, and the clink of the spoon against the ceramic bowl as he stirred. It's mixed. Jiang Zheng's hand, veins prominent, placed the sauce bowl in front of me. Give me a little to taste. Maybe I was being oversensitive, but Jiang Zheng's expression seemed off. Before I could think about it, he scooped up a bit of sauce and brought it to my lips. My face scrunched up. Just then, my phone rang in my pocket. My hands are dirty. Get that for me. I nudged Jiang Zheng with my elbow. Looking reluctant, Jiang Zheng picked up my phone and answered. Within seconds, his face darkened. She's busy. Feeding the baby. He hung up decisively. I stared at him blankly. What nonsense are you talking? Who was that? Jiang Zheng looked at me coldly. One of those scam calls. Then his gaze dropped, and he swiped on my screen. Blocked them for you. So weird. Have you been wanting to act in a drama lately? I was baffled by his behavior. But Jiang Zheng's mood suddenly seemed great. The corners of his mouth inexplicably curled up, and he cheerfully went back to remixing the sauce. The second attempt was also a failure. Too sweet. To prevent Jiang Zheng from causing more trouble, I kicked him out of the kitchen. I didn't expect to mess up myself, though. While heating the oil, some water wasn't completely wiped off the ribs, and hot oil splattered out of the pan. I yelped in surprise. The next moment, a rushing figure hugged me, shielding me from the spattering oil. Jiang Zheng, however, probably got the worst of it. Are you okay? Are you okay? We spoke simultaneously, our eyes meeting, then awkwardly looking away. I'm definitely fine. But you? He was definitely not fine. I turned off the stove and went to find some ointment. Take off your shirt. Jiang Zheng licked his lips, pressing them together tightly, his pupils darting around restlessly. Hurry up, I urged. You still want to see? He asked tentatively. Of course. Hurry up and take it off. Jiang Zheng mumbled a quiet "oh," and slowly started to take off his shirt. I leaned in to examine him closely. All I saw were taut muscles and smooth lines. Nothing else. I couldn't help my face heating up. Now I finally understood why the production team used that picture of Jiang Zheng lifting his shirt for the cover. Jiang Zheng cleared his throat a couple of times. Been busy lately. Haven't been to the gym much. I looked up, frowning, confused. So? Where did it splash on the front? Huh? Jiang Zheng's eyes widened, his eyelids slanting slightly. After a few seconds, he slowly turned around. Didn't get the front. Although his shirt had provided some protection, his back was visibly red in several spots. It's really nothing, ow. I bit my lip to keep from laughing, gradually lightening my touch. After dinner, it was already dark. It was late autumn, and the chilly wind drilled into every gap, making me shiver. I hurried into the car without looking back. As soon as I closed the door, I saw a WeChat message from Wen Cheng. Sis, heard Cheng Tingian asked for the contact info of your studio staff. He hasn't been bothering you and Bro Zheng's happy life, has he? But I was sure I'd closed the app when Jiang Zheng caught me watching. How could it be? I opened it. The interface was still on that talent show. And looking closer, the cover for the first episode was Cheng Tingian. I leaned back in the car seat, feeling all the blood rush to my heart, a wave of heat washing over me. I placed my hand over my heart, feeling its accelerated beat, and finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. My phone rang. It was Jiang Zheng. I took 3 deep breaths before answering. There's still a lot of food in the fridge. Are you free tomorrow? Come over and help finish it. We'd be ashamed to waste it. The familiar voice on the other end, but with a cautious tone I'd never heard before. Sure. I'd be more than happy to freeload a meal from producer Jiang. The words tumbled out automatically. As soon as I said them, I regretted it. Did I sound too eager? But we're almost out of vinegar. I'll buy a bottle tomorrow and bring it over. Since you love vinegar so much, we can just add extra tomorrow. The corners of my mouth lifted as I spoke, as if desperately trying to get closer to the screen. A soft laugh came from the other end. Almost out of sugar too. You'd better bring some of that as well. On the next episode of the show, Jiang Zheng wore the clothes I'd given him. The lights shone on his fair face, his soft facial lines seeming as if personally carved by the creator. Amidst the screams, I caught some whispers. "Oh my god, Jiang Zheng's stylist today deserves a raise. This outfit looks amazing." Exactly. These clothes really show off his figure. Those legs, that waist. Hey, what do you think Jiang Zheng's body looks like without clothes? Damn. Now you've got me blushing. My husband definitely looks thin with clothes on, but has muscle underneath, no doubt about it. Throughout the entire show, I went from watching Jiang Zheng's entrance with delight to leaving in a huff, annoyed by all the girls' wild imaginations. Today, my parents wanted me to bring Jiang Zheng home for dinner, so I had to wait for him after the recording ended. But after the recording, Cheng Tingyan blocked my path. "Yi, your husband is Jiang Zheng, isn't he?" "My husband is Jiang Zheng, but it's the Jiang Zheng with the same name." A cold smile curled at the corner of Cheng Tingyan's mouth. "Come on, I can tell it was his voice. You married him, had a child with him, but he's only famous now. Is he willing to expose all that and waste his popularity?" He continued mockingly, a flash of unwillingness in his eyes. "That doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, does it?" My voice turned cold. "It was my fault for impulsively getting together with you back then because I liked your face. But that was years ago. Cheng Tingyan, you're not that petty, are you?" Cheng Tingyan stared at me with dark, heavy eyes. Just as he opened his mouth to retort, a sudden force pulled me back from behind. Then an arm wrapped around my waist to keep me from stumbling. "Wife, what are you still doing here? Mum and Dad have been waiting for us for a long time." Jiang Zheng's voice was deep and gentle, my reflection visible in his pitch-black pupils. I stumbled into his gaze, momentarily unable to extricate myself, the deepest part of my heart suddenly softening uncontrollably. Jiang Zheng glanced up at Cheng Tingyan. "Interested in coming?" I abruptly grabbed Jiang Zheng's arm, signaling him with my eyes to stop talking nonsense. A surge of anger rose in Cheng Tingyan's eyes. He pressed his lips together tightly and turned to leave. Jiang Zheng used his hand to hold my elbow. His voice wasn't loud, but loud enough for Cheng Tingyan to hear every word. I silently mouthed the word "boring" at him. Jiang Zheng smiled nonchalantly, leaning down to whisper in my ear. "If I don't act like this, you're going to rekindle an old flame with this second-hand goods. Aren't you afraid he'll expose it?" Furious, I broke free from his hand and quickly walked away from him. Hurried footsteps sounded behind me. "Afraid of what? If it really turns out that no one dares to marry you in the future, using that marriage certificate again as a stopgap wouldn't be out of the question." A warm, gentle breeze brushed past my face. A joke or a promise? No one could say for sure. "Crazy," I muttered under my breath, the figure in my eyes disappearing as my gaze fell. "Oh, by the way, this outfit doesn't really suit you. Don't wear it again." "Why?" The makeup artist today even complimented me on choosing this outfit well. I'm a professional image designer. If I say it doesn't suit you, then it doesn't suit you. Besides, didn't you say yourself you haven't been to the gym much lately? Can you even pull off clothes that show off your figure anymore? So this birthday gift you gave is kind of useless then? Jiang Zheng raised an eyebrow slightly. Then consider this one void. Give me a new one. Greedy? 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 Jiang Yi, isn't treating your legal partner like this a bit? Since we were at the TV station, I deliberately kept 10 steps away from Jiang Zheng and only got in the car after checking several times that no one was around. After getting in, I immediately lay down in the back seat to hide, terrified of being photographed by someone. "Jiang Yi, are you planning to wash my car for me while you're at it?" Jiang Zheng turned to look at me, his eyes full of amusement. "Less talk." I kicked his seat. "Drive." It was a radio program themed around musicians. Unfortunately, the protagonist of this episode was Jiang Zheng. Jiang Zheng can be called the hottest man this year, the newly acquired husband of countless young women. But as a producer, Jiang Zheng has long been well known in the music industry. Truly a rich man in terms of copyrights. I hear the words, "produced by Jiang Zheng," are a guarantee of a song's popularity. He has written songs for many famous singers. Spending all these years behind the scenes has really been a waste of talent. At the age of 18, Jiang Zheng produced his first piece of pure music, titled "Crush on One." Before she could finish, Jiang Zheng changed the channel. I sat up from the floor, unsatisfied. They were just about to play it. A slight movement in Jiang Zheng's brow. His eyes fixed on the road ahead. Nothing worth listening to. Embarrassing past. But I want to hear it. Your debut work. I protested strongly. Wait. Written at 18 and called Crush on One. Jiang Zheng, were you secretly crushing on some girl back then? The tips of Jiang Zheng's ears visibly reddened. He pressed his lips tightly together, pretending not to hear. Was it in senior year, or after the college entrance exam? Seeing Jiang Zheng silent, I speculated randomly, a trace of sourness gradually creeping into my heart. No. Didn't confess? Why? Jiang Zheng deliberately drew out his words, stopping the car at the stop line. He glanced at the red light ahead, then turned his head to look back at me. She was a fickle person. The guys she's liked could probably circle the high school tracks several times. You know, a pure and innocent guy like me could easily be devoured. The words got stuck in my throat like a fishbone. I never imagined Jiang Zheng would like a girl like that. So how long did you like her? The light turned green. Asking about the female players from high school, trying to identify Jiang Zheng's first love. Almost 9 years now. Jiang Zheng turned the steering wheel, and the force pressed me against the car door. 9 years. Jiang Zheng is 27 today. Didn't know you were so devoted. Just as I was feeling forlorn, my phone screen lit up. It was a message from Jojo. Female player? Are you talking about yourself? If I remember correctly, you've liked every guy within a 5-year span whose looks appeal to you, right? A stifling feeling lodged in my chest. I replied to Jojo with an ellipsis, then took out my earphones and opened the music app to listen to that song. Crush on One. Every note was like a slice of sour orange, bed bit by bit into my heart. The sourness filled it, then spilled over, leaving only profound disappointment. The moment the car stopped, another WeChat from Jojo arrived. Correction. There is one guy you never liked. Your official CP from back then, classmate Jiang Zheng. It was as if a light bulb went off in my mind. Perhaps, was there even the slightest possibility that person was me? When we got home, my mother, while lamenting how much weight Jiang Zheng had lost, said I hadn't taken good care of him. However, at the moment of payment, I realized I hadn't brought my wallet or phone. Perfect. Now, I'd be kicked out by my mom without even needing to run away from home. That'll be 351 total. Cash or... The cashier watched me search my pockets and froze for a moment. A WeChat payment code appeared from behind me. Looking further back, I saw only a pair of eyebrows and eyes. Jiang Zheng, looking at me with a smile. I told you to wait for me. Always so careless. Jiang Zheng reached out and ruffled my hair. Have you been following me all this way? I leaned in and whispered. Mum was afraid you're too skinny and weak to carry everything, so she asked me to come help. Jiang Zheng bent down and leaned in. Jiang Yi, your alertness isn't great, you know. I elbowed him, grinding my teeth. Scammers aren't as idle as you. After paying, Jiang Zheng took both bags from me before I could. I quickly caught up with Jiang Zheng. The cold wind outside was biting, stinging our faces. The first snow fell without warning, like goose feathers drifting down from the sky. An idea suddenly popped into my head. How about we play truth or dare? Jiang Zheng walked in silence, slowly turning his gaze towards me. Silence means you agree, okay? I quickly spoke, not giving Jiang Zheng a chance to refuse. Truth is, who was that girl you had a crush on? Dare is, take that guy's place and sing a song. I gestured with my chin towards the man not far away, quietly singing. Okay. Jiang Zheng stopped walking, went over to the guy, and 2 minutes later he was playing the guitar and singing. Jiang Zheng's choice was completely unexpected, and what surprised me even more was that he sang my favorite song. Fine snow fell on his shoulders and the tips of his hair. The streetlights stretched his shadow long. Pedestrians coming and going stopped in their tracks. And I stood at the front, completely immersed, unable to tear myself away. So much so that when I finally snapped out of it, I found many phones raised around us, with Jiang Zheng dominating the screens. Without thinking too much, I quickly walked over to Jiang Zheng and interrupted the song. I'm wrong, let's run. I took the guitar from him, handed it back to the guy nearby, grabbed him and ran. We burst out of the crowd, leaving a trail of footprints on the light snow. Our hands were red from the wind, but our palms were warm, covered in a thin layer of sweat. After getting far away from the crowd, we slowly stopped, panting heavily. Jiang Zheng pulled down his mask and stared at me calmly. You were the one who said dare. Why did you chicken out? Who knew you'd actually dare? Weren't you afraid of being recognized on camera? I glared at him. Your turn. Jiang Zheng squinted his eyes with a mysterious smile. Keep it for next time. TCH, next time it is. I'm not afraid of you. After dinner, Jiang Zheng drove me home. Tonight he was acting like he drank fake alcohol, not only singing in public, but also discussing plans for a future honeymoon and kids with my parents at the dinner table. I kicked him several times, but he remained undeterred. After he parked the car, I couldn't help asking, You didn't drink any fake alcohol today, did you? Jiang Zheng ignored me, simply unbuckled his seatbelt, got out, and came to open my door. Suddenly he was very close, looking down with a smile. Sorry to disappoint you. Nope. His breath was even hotter than when he'd been drugged. It made my heart clench. Then why were you so weird today? Don't keep charming my parents like that. What if they can't bear to let you go if we ever get divorced? I know what I'm doing. Jiang Zheng stepped back to let me out. Drive carefully tonight. Not too fast. I couldn't help turning back to remind him, only to meet his gaze directly. Okay. He nodded slightly at me. Tired from the day, I immediately took a hot shower when I got home. I'd just finished drying my hair when Jiang Zheng called. Jiang Yi, I'm downstairs at your place. I quickly changed and rushed downstairs. He was standing in the snow, not having left. A light layer of snow accumulated on his shoulders. I hurriedly stood on tiptoe to brush the snow off him. His clothes were more or less damp. Jiang Zheng, you really did drink fake alcohol tonight. Before I could finish, he grasped my shoulders with both hands. My fingers curled, brushing against his coat. I wanted to stand in the snow and cool down, but found it was completely useless. Warm breath enveloped me, blurring his handsome features. Then he lowered his head, blocking the light before my eyes. His lips, chilled by the cold wind, covered mine. The cold made me shiver involuntarily. Warm softness seized the opportunity, our breathing mixing in shallow, deep confusion. My hand was grasped and placed in his pocket. The moment the deep kiss ended, I struggled to pull my hand away, but it was held tighter, our fingers intertwined. Rapid breaths were like a fire, fiercely rushing to my cheeks. Today's dare was only half completed, so it doesn't count. As compensation, I'll answer the truth. It was you. The words were like sparks, completely igniting the current in my heart, burning it to a boil. When did it start? I asked hesitantly. That's the next question. Stingy, I said, looking down with a smile. My turn now. Truth or dare? Okay. I'm not afraid. The corner of Jiang Zheng's mouth lifted slightly, his eyes brimming with laughter. Truth is, how many boys did you like in high school? These words were like a heavy stone, completely crushing my previous morale. Before I could even beg for mercy, Jiang Zheng continued. You have to give a specific number. Don't try to lie, because I know the correct answer. Deflated like a punctured ball, I asked him lifelessly. Then what's the dare? Come home with me. We just got together. Isn't that a bit much? I poked his shoulder, my face hot with shyness and embarrassment. Friendly reminder, we're already married. Jiang Zheng pinched my ring finger, the one with the ring, and spoke slowly. That was a fake marriage, I retorted. Fake marriage? He leaned close to my ear, his hands locking behind my waist, pulling me into his arms. Miss Jiang Yi, our marriage certificate is real. Our wedding rings are real. Our feelings are real. What's fake about it? Move your stuff in. Yes, ma'am. What? You and Jiang Zheng turned a fake marriage into a real one and actually got married. Jojo's shocked voice came from the other end of the phone. I responded calmly. And he's had a crush on you for 9 years since he was 18. Jojo continued asking. Jiang Yi, today isn't April Fool's Day. Don't mess with me? Jojo sought confirmation once more. No, we're really together. I smiled and confirmed again. Then you really put him through hell. You have to make it up to him. How did I put him through hell? I was completely baffled by Jojo's words. It scared him, so he didn't dare confess and just silently liked you for 9 years. 9 years of youth. Jojo sighed emotionally. Don't you think he had it rough? Jojo's question stumped me. It was true. When I asked Jiang Zheng why he liked me, he wouldn't say. When I asked him why he didn't confess earlier, he wouldn't say either. Could it be really because I was too fickle before? But I was just purely judging by looks back then, just talking casually, forgetting after a few days. Back then with Cheng Tinyin, he confessed to me first, and my head got hot and I agreed. After that time, I completely lost interest. Jiang Zheng wouldn't think that way. What if it turned out like Cheng Tinyin, dumped after a few days, and then couldn't even be friends afterwards? Wouldn't that be a loss worse than gain? People in love are most prone to anxiety about losing it. Jojo advised sincerely. That's all I have to say, Mrs. Jiang, you figure it out. I have things to do. Gotta go. Jojo's words plunged me into endless thought. Somehow, my phone started playing Jiang Zheng's Crush on One again. I don't know how many loops it had played when Jiang Zheng came back. Today he had gone out to eat with the contestants and had a bit of alcohol on him. Why did you drink? I went forward to support him, but unexpectedly, he reversed and grabbed me around the waist. The next moment, he pressed me against the wall. His eyes, tinged with intoxication, stared deeply at me, a complex emotion in their depths. He cupped my chin, brought my lips to his, and bit down lightly. This Jiang Zheng felt unfamiliar. I pressed my hands against his chest. Jiang Zheng, you turn into a dog when you're drunk. He silenced me with his mouth, the bitterness of alcohol filling my taste buds. After lingering for a while, he bit me again. He buried his head in the hollow of my neck and muttered, "Bad woman. How much did you actually drink?" I watched him, at a loss. Not much, 3 glasses of red wine mixed with Sprite. Wait. I pushed Jiang Zheng. That's how we drank at the senior class banquet in high school. Jiang Zheng let go of me and staggered towards the sofa. Afraid he might fall, I quickly followed, but was ultimately too slow. I watched helplessly as Jiang Zheng picked up the kettle on the table and brought it to his mouth. But his unsteady hand caused water to spill all over himself. Jiang Zheng! I hurried over to put the kettle away. When I turned back, Jiang Zheng's eyes had regained their clarity. Sobered up? I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Go take a shower. Jiang Zheng looked at me, responded with a low, "Mem," then stood up and pulled me towards the bathroom. What are you doing? Jiang Zheng pulled me into his arms, his expression extremely serious as he uttered 2 words. Service. It took me a while to process before quickly responding, no need. Then, in the middle of trying to escape, he directly carried me into the bathroom. It all stemmed from this morning when I woke up and saw the supplementary card Jiang Zheng had left for me. I then, very foolishly, took a selfie holding that card, sent it to him, and attached this meme, ... loading ... Jiang Zheng, working hard in the studio, replied an hour later with a single MM. So tonight, that someone was also working extremely hard, thoroughly crushing his 5-minute speculation through personal example. I was woken by the phone at noon the next day. I fumbled around for a while before finding it. Hello. My voice was very hoarse, as if scorched. Yee, what's wrong? You were fine when we talked yesterday. Why is your voice hoarse today? Jojo asked worriedly. It's nothing. Just talked too much yesterday. I rubbed my eyes and found the culprit looking at me meaningfully from the bedside. Jojo could tell I was uncomfortable talking, said a few words about taking care of myself, and hung up. Jiang Zheng bent down to put my phone away, his eyes full of amusement. Was the service last night satisfactory enough? I looked up and glared at him. Far too satisfactory. Can't handle a second time. With that, I sulkily shoved the supplementary card into his hand. Your hard-earned pay from last night. Jiang Zheng couldn't help laughing. He gently kissed my face. You worked harder. You keep it. He came up from behind and pulled me into his arms. Looks like I need to take you to the gym next time. Don't. My daily exercise volume is already exceeding the limit because of you. After a final struggle, I was still pulled out of bed by Jiang Zheng. After washing up like a zombie, I collapsed onto the sofa to continue my nap. But just then, the doorbell rang. The intermittent ringing jolted me fully awake. Jiang Zheng, however, was slow to answer the door, so I had to force my sore, weak body to get up and answer it. Jiang Zheng, why did you order takeout again? Didn't I say no more takeout? The moment I opened the door, the rest of my words got stuck in my throat. Because standing outside the door wasn't a delivery guy, but Jiang Zheng's team members from the talent show. And one of their phone cameras was pointed directly at me. They naturally recognized me too, and couldn't help asking, Sis Yi, how come you? My brain froze temporarily. I couldn't find a plausible excuse. My wife. A deep voice came from behind my ear, and my back bumped against a solid chest. Jiang Zheng reached out and blocked the phone camera. She's shy. Doesn't want to be in the spotlight. The phone's owner, Lin Fan, finally reacted, quickly swiping on the screen. I'm sorry, I always thought the producer was still single. The live stream, I've already turned it off. My sincerest apologies. Live stream? My hands and feet instantly turned ice cold. My feet gave way, and I almost fell. We'll make you all some tea in the kitchen. Feel free to sit anywhere. With that, Jiang Zheng pulled me into the kitchen. I watched Jiang Zheng calmly rinsing the tea set beside me, and suddenly seemed to understand something. Did you do this on purpose? I leaned in and glared at him. Jiang Zheng didn't stop what he was doing. He raised his eyebrows slightly at me, but the unconscious curve of his lips betrayed his thoughts. No wonder you insisted on dragging me out of bed today, and deliberately didn't answer the door just now. The moment I opened it, you appeared. I questioned him, fuming. Jiang Zheng, do you have any other explanations? Jiang Zheng looked at me with an innocent expression. You're wronging me. I dragged you out of bed so you wouldn't mess up your biological clock. As for why I didn't answer the door, it's because I was really busy at that moment. Busy posting on Weibo. Posting on Weibo? Such a lame excuse. Jiang Zheng nodded and handed me his phone. I opened it, and the first thing I saw was Jiang Yi's husband, just recently confirmed. The accompanying picture was one of our hands wearing the rings, taken originally to show Jiang Zheng's mother. The other picture was my head turned to one side, while Jiang Zheng looked at the camera. Judging by the clothes, it was that time at the TV station when we ran into Cheng Tingyan and pretended to take a photo. No need to ask. Jiang Zheng must have secretly pressed the shutter himself, then taken my phone under the pretext of deleting photos, but actually airdropped them to his own phone. I looked at the time again. Posted 10 minutes ago, deliberately timed right before I opened the door. Jiang Zheng, I never expected you to be so calculating. With that, I threw his phone back at him. Jiang Zheng caught the phone and pulled me into his arms. Yeah, I was afraid you might not want me, so I had to authenticate my identity first. I don't know why, but Jiang Zheng's words made my heart ache and soften uncontrollably. I thought back to what Jojo had told me. He had kept me in his heart for all these years, yet it took me this long to understand my own feelings, to finally look back and see him. How would I dare? I said sullenly. You're super famous now. Countless people call you husband. Besides, you've gone and made it so public. What if we get tired of each other later? After I finished speaking, I looked up and saw Jiang Zheng's expression darken, his gaze dimming slightly. You'd get tired? The arm around my waist tightened slightly. Alarm bells immediately went off in my head. Looking at Jiang Zheng's furrowed brow, I weakly added, just afraid of the off chance. Jiang Zheng's gaze gradually turned cold. My heart clenched, and I immediately changed my tune. I was wrong. No off chance. Jiang Zheng's brows relaxed. He reached out and pinched my cheek. I've made the tea. If you don't want to hang out with them, you can go out for a walk. I'll pick you up and take you home tonight. I watched Jiang Zheng's retreating figure and belatedly realized that this quarrel was over before it even began, and I had already lost. Unexpectedly, after Jiang Zheng and I made our relationship public, it didn't attract online criticism. Instead, it sparked a trend of digging up old stories. Jojo told me it all started with an anonymous post, supposedly from a former classmate who'd been on the front lines of gossip back in high school. The post read, as their #1 CP fan back in the day, I absolutely have to share all the sweet moments. They were desk mates in high school, and their flirting and bickering were an everyday thing. The most shocking thing back then? They'd constantly get caught talking during evening self-study. Our homeroom teacher, convinced they were dating, immediately separated them and called in their parents. But here's the sweet part. Both sets of parents thought it was totally fine. Our teacher was so furious, he'd criticize them at every weekly class meeting. Also, they just looked so perfect together. Attaching some screenshots of them from class photos. The top comment under the post was, "Don't forget how sweet they were at the teacher appreciation banquet." Our homeroom teacher panicked and immediately pulled Jiang Zheng over from the next table. Then our poor Jiang Zheng ended up getting 3 glasses of red wine mixed with Sprite from the math teacher. Before I could even finish reading the comments on that post, Jojo sent me another one titled, "Evidence of Jiang Zheng showing off his love." The poster watched a few episodes of the show and noticed Jiang Zheng always wearing the same ring. It was until Jiang Zheng posted his announcement on Weibo that I realized it was their wedding ring. I'm dying from the sweetness. Finally, a bonus for hand enthusiasts. A collection of pictures of Jiang Zheng wearing his wedding ring. The post was filled with screenshots from the show. "Mrs. Jiang, still looking? Will be at the TV station soon. Isn't watching the real thing better?" Leng Bao glanced at my phone screen. And here I was feeling sorry for you. Old classmates for so many years, not telling me about the marriage is one thing, but hiding who you married too. With that, Leng Bao started pretending to be heartbroken. Seems like some people just forget their friends when they have a lover. Right, little Chan. Alright, once this show is over, I'll have him treat you all to a nice meal. Consider it a make-up wedding banquet. I patted Liang Bao comfortingly. I'll bring my partner too, so I don't get overwhelmed by your sweetness before I even finish eating. Liang Bao joked. And the atmosphere in the car immediately became cheerful. Today was the talent show finals. Jiang Zheng's team member, Lin Fan, got the most votes from both the judges and the audience, winning the championship. Confetti rained down. Tears welled up in Lin Fan's eyes and finally spilled over. The host handed him the microphone, but Lin Fan was already choking up before he could finish his acceptance speech. To avoid an awkward silence, the host passed the microphone to Jiang Zheng. "Producer Jiang is now the champion producer. Is there anything you'd like to say to everyone? First, I want to thank Lin Fan for choosing me, for using my beat to create a perfect final stage. I hope we can collaborate again in the future. I also want to thank the production team for taking care of me and my team members all this time." Jiang Zheng usually didn't show much expression in front of the cameras, especially not a happy smile like now. Finally, I want to thank my wife. She's the one who encouraged me to join the show, who helped me get through that dark period. In the dressing room, I met Jiang Zheng's gaze through the screen, and my eyes suddenly felt hot. I was about to go out and wait for him in the hallway, when I unexpectedly ran into Liu Lingling and Cheng Tingyan's team members coming out of his dressing room. The red marks on the necks of the team members behind her were very noticeable, while Liu Lingling was leisurely buttoning up her shirt. "You're Jiang Zheng's wife." Liu Lingling spoke first, stopping me. I smiled politely but didn't respond. She curled her red lips. "That medicine from last time, you got off easy. Good, wasn't it? Imported stuff." My face suddenly flushed hot. I was too embarrassed to know how to react. "When you get tired of him, let me know. I'll trade you a fresh young thing for him." After all, she pretended to think. Eating the same dish every day, even if it's the most delicious, can get nauseating. Liu Lingling's words completely shattered my worldview. I was so stunned I almost didn't notice Jiang Zheng. "What's wrong?" Jiang Zheng's face suddenly loomed large in front of me, startling me. "Nothing." I snapped out of it. "Just ran into Liu Lingling." "She talked to you?" Jiang Zheng's expression immediately became alert. "Yeah. She asked if that medicine from last time was good." I told her. I carefully lifted my eyelids to observe Jiang Zheng's expression. That it was too good. Much better than the deer antler and velvet soup I make. Seeing Jiang Zheng's darkened gaze, I laughed until tears came. Jiang Zheng's face tightened. He gritted his teeth. "Jiang Yi. I'm wrong. I'm wrong." I immediately surrendered, waving my hands and feet. "Actually, Liu Lingling is pretty nice. She said she'd trade a fresh young thing for my husband. I've been thinking it over, And it seems like a pretty good deal. After the show ended, Jiang Zheng needed to help some singers produce albums, leaving early and returning late every day. Nearly a year passed before I knew it. This year, the music festival invited Jiang Zheng to participate. The day happened to be Jiang Zheng's birthday. I said I really wanted to go with him and have some fun, but unfortunately, the studio was too busy for me to get away. Jiang Zheng said birthdays come every year with his mouth, but there was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. As the door clicked shut behind him, I cheerfully turned around and went into my room to pack my bags. Everything went smoothly from departure to landing. On the day of the music festival, I did my makeup beautifully and put together a hot music festival outfit. The festival was incredibly lively. I blended into the crowd, secretly calculating when Jiang Zheng would appear. It was Jiang Zheng. I immediately declined the guy, saying, "Sorry, I'm not really comfortable taking photos with strangers." As soon as I said that, I got a WeChat from Jiang Zheng. "Why didn't you answer the phone?" I waited 5 minutes before replying. "Did you call me?" "I'm out doing makeup. The signal's bad." Then Jiang Zheng sent me a photo. A picture of me and that guy, which had been put up on the big screen. Jiang Zheng: "Yeah, the signal really does seem bad over there." Me: "Honey, let me explain. I was originally going to surprise you." Sure enough, when I finally saw Jiang Zheng, his expression was a bit sour. He didn't even react when I showed him the hotel room I decorated. I ordered the cake way in advance." I bit my lip and looked at him. He pulled me into his arms, his gaze not even glancing at the cake for a second. "Want a taste?" I tested the waters. "Presents first." He refused with a serious expression. "Sense?" No sooner had I spoken than a chill ran down my back. The delicate strap I'd tied was easily undone by him. "Jiang Zheng, you jerk." Who lied first? Not long after, Jiang Zheng really did receive his gift. A little rival, Jiang Zheng. Jiang Zheng's side story. At the senior class banquet in senior year, Jiang Yi got completely drunk. Her face was flushed bright red, but she still insisted she wasn't drunk. And Jiang Zheng was pulled over from the next table by their homeroom teacher to drink in her place, and ended up having to take her home. Suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed her lips to his. Jiang Zheng was stunned for a moment, his hands loosely holding Yi, quickly pulling back. He thought he wasn't drunk, but at that moment, the alcohol seemed irresistibly to be storming his reason. The composure in his mind was instantly trampled beyond recognition. The cheap wine they'd ordered was good, sour with a hint of bitterness. But the taste he drew from her lips was incredibly tempting, like a ripe cherry, sweet and juicy. In the end, reason still triumphed over the desire in his head. Jiang Zheng grasped her shoulders and gently separated them. After getting home, he took a long cold shower, but still felt hot and agitated. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining the 10,000 possibilities of what would happen the next day when Jiang Yi woke up sober. Jiang Zheng himself found it unbelievable. Every time the thought of them being together crossed his mind, his heart would start racing. When had he started liking Jiang Yi? Jiang Zheng himself couldn't answer that question. Thinking back on the things he'd said before, he was filled with regret. But the next day, when Jiang Zheng went out and bumped into Jiang Yi, he realized his all-night thinking had been futile. Jiang Yi had a complete blackout. Because Jiang Yi had liked so many people, changing her crush every few days. He was afraid Jiang Yi wouldn't like him, and even more afraid that if she did, it would be just a flash in the pan. Before, when Jiang Zheng ran into Jiang Yi, they'd always exchange a few barbs. Later, Jiang Zheng would constantly rehearse their conversations, his actions, his expressions in his mind. All the words he didn't dare say that summer were turned into musical notes and written into a song by Jiang Zheng. Crush on one. Jiang Yi was his one and only. He thought that after enduring 4 years of university, their lives would have a new intersection. That Jiang Yi moved out right after graduation. Jiang Zheng gradually gained fame in the music industry and moved his mother out of their old house. Then, Jiang's mother fell seriously ill. Despair piled up layer by layer, crushing Jiang Zheng until he couldn't breathe. His mother seemed to have long seen through his thoughts. "Zheng, before I go, I want to see you settle down and start a family." Only if there's someone with you can I leave without worries. Someone like Yi would be perfect. Rain mixed with bitter tears on his face. Jiang Yiqi's features were sometimes clear, sometimes blurred by the falling raindrops. Even though his confession was under this pretext, his heart was in turmoil, pounding chaotically against his chest, as if mocking his cowardice. His fake marriage with Zhong Yi was like a miniature reflection of a bustling scene inside a soap bubble. The single poke, and it would vanish without a trace. Jiang Zheng thought his mother's funeral would be the moment the bubble burst. Darkness approached layer by layer, like a giant beast about to devour him. But Jiang Yi didn't leave. She reached out and pulled him back from the endless gloom. She urged him to stay busy, to stop being so listless. Work gradually filled his time, and Zhong Yi permeated every corner of his life. Jiang Zheng thought, maybe it was time to slowly but surely trick her into his hands.